All right, we've got the signal that we are live, and I'm going to see if I can find this video so that I can double check the audio. Oh, we got a commercial? The heck is that? Skip ad. The heck's an ad doing there? I didn't monetize this. Testing 1, 2, Superwatch feedback. This should be correct. We've got the signal that we are. Okay. I usually, by the way, I usually don't monetize these videos for at least 24 hours. I like to give the subscribers a chance to watch without any ads for at least 24 hours. So I don't know why an ad just popped up on this live stream. Maybe I accidentally had something triggered the wrong way. So Eric, learning channels in the house, had 2 spring drives, neither worked right. Give me a regular old Rolex Escape any day. Well, you're the rare exception because they're usually bulletproof reliable. Just about everybody I've talked to that has had a spring drive just has had fantastic service out of them. They're extremely robust. So you got you're one of these guys that probably goes out to golf and gets struck by lightning twice. So a bad luck kind of guy, Eric, a bad luck kind of guy. Remind me not to hang out with you in a lightning storm. Okay, so David Williams is in the house. Hello. Carlos is in the house. And so this is an emergency broadcast to address some controversy that my video yesterday stirred up. And we got a little bit coming in the channel now with Eric's comment. Pretty ridiculous comment if you ask me. I kind of don't believe it, but I'm not going to come right out and say that he's fibbing. But to get 2 spring drives and have a problem on both, that is bizarre to say the least. LOL, it was a little treasury ad. Well, I always mention where I get my watch. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to mention where I get my watch. I bought this one from Steve at Little Treasury. I like the guy. And I don't mind mentioning people that I do business with if I'm happy with the way they treat everybody. And if they go south on that, if they stop treating people right, then I will I'll point that out too. Yeah, we call it the way we see it here on this channel. And here's the thing, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and I will never achieve perfection, and you learn that in the photography, videography game, audio game. It's extremely elusive, this perfection. But you know, we keep striving for it. And I've said before that I don't get these people that collect watches, that have a whole bunch of watches. I don't get that part of it, but I do get buying a watch and not being happy with it and trying to get something better and constantly trying to find that perfect watch. I can get that concept. Been there, done that over the years. I mean, I've always looked for something stellar to put on my wrist. And all my EDC items and my camera gear, same thing. If I can find a better lens, I'm going to go for it and see what I can do. But at the same time, you got to try to be somewhat practical, right? So you got to kind of weigh that. There are compromises involved in all of these things. So we'll talk about all of this. This is the pregame show. The show starts at 5 o'clock officially. And there's my GMT stunner with the 9F movement. And it's just strumming along. I just got a message here. Let's make sure. Oh, I got it. So that's good. That's the radio show I'm calling in tomorrow morning. He said there's a different number to call in on, a little different procedure tomorrow morning. So he's giving me a heads up on that. So let's see here. Now, if the spring drives don't work, it can't be... Now, if the spring drives don't work, it can't be that the user must be lying. That's not proper English. You might want to rewrite that. I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to say there. Now, if the spring drives don't work, it can't be that the user must be lying. Did you mean to say now if the spring drives don't work, it means the user is lying? Well, I mean, Eric, here's the thing. If you had 2 spring drives and they both gave trouble, given the history of the spring drive and the extreme reliability of it, wouldn't you say that that's a little bit bizarre, to say the least, and actually kind of questionable? At best, it's bizarre, and you got struck by lightning twice. At worst, you're fibbing to us. So I will let the viewers decide on that, on what they think the real situation is. But all I can say is everybody I've talked to is they are extremely robust. I have the same SBGA231, but I just bought my son a $25 Mickey watch. It keeps the same or even a little better time than mine. I could have saved thousands, ha ha ha. Absolutely. Here's the thing about the spring drive, and this is what, when I get to the stupid comment, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but the advantage to the spring drive is you don't have to open the watch for decades. I'm going to pause on that for a moment so you let that sink into you folks. There is no battery to replace. There is no capacitor to wear out that's storing energy. What's storing energy is the spring that is wound by the movement of your wrist, just like a typical automatic watch, similar to that. That spring is wound up, and that spring generates a very small electrical charge. The spring also moves the second hand around, and it's just simply slowed down with an electromagnetic brake so that it's at the right speed. So it's an extremely efficient system, extremely robust, and that is the big difference between the spring drive and anything else out there that the user is lying. Extreme reliability based on what have you seen any studies? Eric, go to the link. I put it in the description here. Now, if you're going to troll, I'm just going to block you. If you want to get blocked, we'll go ahead and block you if you're going to troll. But I've got a link in the description of this video to extensive information about the spring drive from various sources that are very reliable, okay? And so if you want to present yourself as an idiot here in the chat, go ahead and keep doing it. We'll just go ahead and block you, and then you'll go somewhere else and you can play your stupid games somewhere else on some other channel. So just keep doing it, and we'll just go ahead and block you, okay? Let's see. Lee Trevino, pro golfer, was struck by lightning 2 times. There you go. I wouldn't want to hang out with him. Whenever I hear major generalities like everyone, I don't think I said everyone. I think I pretty much said most everything I've seen out there has been very positive, and they've talked about how robust it is. It's just very well known in the industry that the spring drive is pretty unbelievable. Eric's been around your channel. Eric's been around your channel for a while. Chalk it up to a case of bad luck. He can be around the channel, but if he starts trolling, we will block him. We have zero tolerance for trolls on this channel. We're not, and by the way, somebody mentioned that I wasn't tolerant in this comment. When we get to the stupid comment, we'll talk about that. No, I'm not tolerant. Go to other channels if you want somebody that's tolerant. I'm not tolerant. We get rid of the trolls here. We don't need them. We have no use for them. Let's see here. What were the issues you had? Yeah, if you want to give some specifics, that's fine. Give some specifics. It jumps all of a sudden like 8 seconds, run perfect for a day and a half, jumps. Okay, was this both of them? You said you had 2. What did the other one do? Hi, Craig, love your channel. On the waiting list for a steel sub date in the UK. If I end up waiting forever, I'll get the steel version of your Grand Seiko diver. Ah, man, Edward, please look at the titanium one. Do yourself a favor and really go look, see, touch, feel. Try it on wrist. Find an AD that will let you wear it on wrist for a while in the showroom. I really think you will like going with the titanium version. Block someone who says that spring drives aren't perfect. Yes, Eric, if you keep trolling over and over again with these stupid statements, I will block you. Yes, I will. Okay, and you can go to some other channel and do that. Okay? All right. Rewind. Okay, we'll go ahead and block him. You're gone, guy. Hide user. Out of here. Okay. All right, so he's gone. All right, so was it worn daily, always kept wound to full capacity, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about Eric. He's gone. You can talk to him about that in some other forum because he's a troll. Spring drive is excellent movement. What about Omega movement compared to it? So here's the big difference is, and I have really gotten spoiled by the extreme accuracy. I have to admit. I really like being able to just go and not worry about whether or not the watch is on time or not, and for months on end, and not have to mess with it, not have to unscrew it. And I'm kind of OCD about having the second hand in sync with the minute hand, if you know what I mean. When the minute hand's right at the marker, I want that second hand straight up at 12. And if you have to keep recalibrating your watch like once a week or so or whatever, and you have to do that every time, to me it just gets old, right? So I really like the fact that this thing is just spot on after 5 months. It's just like within a second. And I've gotten spoiled by that. And you're not going to get that with any typical automatic movement. And the benefit of the spring drive, of course, is you get that accuracy, but you also get the benefits of an automatic movement in that there's no battery, there's no capacitor, there's nothing really to go wrong. And so you really get the best of both worlds. The downside to something like the 9F is every 3 years that case needs to be opened and the battery needs to be swapped out, and that is a potential for a problem, right? Every time you have to open up the case of a watch, it's not good to have to do that. And it's not the end of the world, but it's, I would rather not have to do it, and with this one I don't have to do it. Just leave that case closed up tight for decades. Craig, I know you said you didn't know the Chopard Alpine Eagle, but I think it looks will surprise you. I'm sure. I'm sure it probably will. It's always great being in a troll-free zone. Our wags in the house. Theon Harris assessment of Chopard Alpine Eagle. Bang on the money. There you go. Well, if you want to Skype in and show us one, if somebody has one, Skype into the show and let's take a look. Because I've never seen one. I'd like to hear from somebody who has one in hand. We like to talk about actual experience with watches on this channel. I think London is the only place in the UK to try on Grand Seikos and official AD here. I'll check out the titanium diver, but I like the weight of the steel. Yeah, but this thing just feels so good. It feels so good. It's got, it's got some heft to it. It's not nothing on your wrist, but it just feels so good. And the little touch of gold. Let me give you a close-up here. Get over here. And somebody said, and you got to get some hand lotion, your skin's terrible. I said, well, when you get to be my age, wait and see what your skin's like, okay? Especially if you've been out in the sun too much in your youth. Yeah, that's how that works. The skin doesn't hold up that great over time. And I never had skin that was that great, to tell you the truth. Your thoughts on what some people are saying about Rolex reached the apex of the bell curve, is now heading downhill due to buyers getting fed up with their games and have looked to Seiko. No, I don't think that's the reason. I don't think it's because they've moved to Seiko. Because some people have bought Grand Seikos, but it's a relatively small number. Grand Seikos are very low production watch. And I don't think a Rolex guy would go to just a standard Seiko. So I think what's happened is a lot of these watches are in the hands of speculators. And at the first hint of the market getting soft, a lot of these speculators will be selling. And a lot of watches are probably going to hit the market at the same time. And so it could get pretty nasty as far as, those folks could be in a bad way. So it could cause a real slide in prices. It won't be devastating. I mean, maybe 30, 40%. I think they'll go down. I think the used ones will go down below list. I don't think you'll see anybody getting over list. I think the market will just adjust back to where it should be. I think a lot of watches are in the hands of speculators and investors, that bought a bunch of watches as an investment. And when they start seeing the market crashing, it's going to be like any other thing, right? Everybody starts panicking. They all start selling at the same time. And we all know what happens in that kind of a scenario. So my guess is that's what's going to happen. It has nothing to do with people going and buying Grand Seikos. Let's see here. I'm trying to bait you into searching it out, and you're not taking the bait. Sorry about that. Have you considered changing the 231 class to the one from the SBGA231? It looks like a super class. It's titanium and has a gold GS logo. I want it, but I called Seiko. It's $647. Does it have micro adjustments? First of all, if it doesn't have micro adjustments, it would be a no-fly zone for me. And I do like this clasp. I've gotten so that I really like this clasp. I use the extension. I've got it extended just a tiny bit right now because today's warmer than normal this time of the year, so I've got it extended just a hair. I use that often, right? And I do like it, and I like the 4 micro adjustments. So when I first got this, I was like everybody else. Well, it's too bulbous. It's, it's stamped. It's all these things, right? But functionality-wise, it works great, and I think it looks okay for what this watch is. It's a tool watch. I think it looks okay, and so no, I'm not entertaining changing this clasp at all. I am 2 thumbs up on this clasp. That's a link with photos. Email me. Did you email it to me? If you want me to show something, email it to me because this is on the iPad, the chat here, and I can't copy and paste it over to the Mac. So if you want me to show something, email the link to my name, CraigShipp@gmail.com. CraigShipp@gmail.com. Remember, there's 2 P's. Email the link and let me know in the chat that you've emailed it, and I will show it. I have no problem. I will show it. Matter of fact, let me bring up my... Well, before I bring up the mail, we're going to do the stupid comment. I'm going to catch up on the chat. We're going to do the stupid comment. Then I'm going to check my Gmail to see if there's any links in there. The Alpine Eagle is nice. Seems kind of Gentra style, but nicer to my eyes than the Nautilus. Yeah, I would pass on a Nautilus or a Royal Oak. I would pass on those. From what I heard, the 9F's battery and movement are in 2 separate compartments. A battery change won't require you to intrude. That's correct. I mean, it is a very good design, but you're still opening up the case. You're still screwing the back off and screwing it back on. And I just don't like doing that unless I have to. And of course, with this, I don't have to. So, but you're right. I mean, it is. They did design it very effectively so that dust and things like that don't get into the critical part of the movement. It's a fantastic design, the 9F. Love the gold on the dial. What is Grand Seiko servicing like in the U.S. and the UK? Apparently, it's not great. I don't think you're going to need any servicing. I think you buy it, you get a good one. Make sure you get a good one from an AD, and then just wear it for decades. I don't think you're going to need any servicing. If I needed servicing, I would not be a happy camper. I don't want to pay this kind of money for a watch and then have to do servicing. That would make me unhappy. It does have micro adjustments, so that's good then, but it doesn't have the diver extension. Well, that's better than nothing. I mean, at least you have the micro adjustments. So yeah, I mean, that would be nice, but I would stay with this if I bought a 231, and that's what I'm doing. So I really like the new GS season watches, principally the spring drive versions. Look forward to viewing them at Steve's next week. There you go. Yeah, it's going to be a cool event. After seeing the picture of Ellen wearing hers, I'm convinced the Nautilus look better on women. Triggered male, 5711 investors. Yeah, see, I would pass on that. Okay, so let's go to the stupid comment of the day. This was on the video I did yesterday on the SBGA231, the 18-month update. And the viewer says, GS is not only about spring drives. GS is also 9S movement, which is purely mechanical. So if you want to make a comparison between Rolex versus GS, you should do it with the GS 9S movement. And then, I think he meant to say then, we will see Which one is better? But you are not here for true. I guess he means for the truth. Spring drive in horology terms is superquartz. Instead of having battery, you have a mechanical complication for generating electricity. The way I see it, spring drive is for making you feel you have mechanical watch when you have quartz eventually. About the super titanium, that's really the best feature of that watch. I agree with you on that. Titanium reduced the weight, but no titanium can reduce scale and sizes. If the watch is big, then it's big, and no titanium will do a thing to that matter. This watch is big, very big. It has unnecessary thickness because the mechanical complications won't help you with the thickness. Speaking about quartz, Citizen is ahead in that matter, and they are very good with titanium. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the stupid parts of that comment. And then we'll go on to the rest. I can absolutely compare this to a Rolex because I wore Rolexes for 40 freaking years, and I bought this to wear instead of a Rolex. So I can certainly compare this to a Rolex. And if I'm going to buy the Grand Seiko, I'm going to get the movement that I think is the best. I'm not going to limit myself to a 9S movement, to the mechanical movement, when they've got the spring drive. If I like the spring drive, I'm going to buy the spring drive. Just the fact that Rolex doesn't have a spring drive, that's not my problem. Okay? So that's stupid part of the comment number one. Stupid part of the comment number two is it's a big watch. Yes, I know it's a big watch. It's a 43, 44 millimeter, depending on who you talk to. And it's 14 mils thick. And I think it looks great on wrist. But obviously, if it doesn't look good on your wrist, if you have a small wrist or something and you don't think it looks good on your wrist, then don't buy the watch, obviously. There are other options. I mean, there's that watch right there that's 39 mils. And Grand Seiko has other watches that are smaller. I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, this is just pretty high on the stupid comment list, okay? So then we'll go on. Then I told him, I said, I'm going to add this comment to my stupid comment list. Well done. And then he responded, if you do that, it will be, I'm correcting his English as I read. If you do that, it will be your shame because you will prove that you are not tolerant to other points of views, and you are not doing any service for the truth, only your pride. Okay? And I responded to him, correct. And here's the thing. I've said many times on this channel, I'm not tolerant. That's not the point of this channel, for me to tolerate idiots and stupid comments and stupid activities. If somebody comes and they're like full of tattoos, one side of their face all the way down their body to their feet and so forth, I'm not going to hire them. I'm not going to tolerate the fact that they were stupid enough to put tattoos all down one side. And somebody will say, well, you're not tolerant. No, that's right. I'm not tolerant. You're judgmental. That's right. I'm making a judgment. I don't want to mess with that person that made all those stupid decisions. And yes, they were stupid decisions. Okay? So that's the way this works. This is a dictatorship here. This is not this isn't even close to a democracy, okay? The viewers have no say in how this channel is run. Actually, if the viewers are decent people, they have a lot of say, because I do listen to decent people. Especially those that have a wrench, because they can hit me right over the head with the wrench. So, let's see here. I emailed the link. Okay, let's go to the email. We're going to the email, big guys. You gotta love this. You gotta love live TV here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, this watch is a stunner. Oh, absolutely. I think Steve has one in stock. And I can see the micro adjustments there. Yeah, I mean that's a stunner. Now, is that available in titanium? I'm guessing this one is steel. But yeah, I mean that's a stunner. And yes, I've seen that clasp before on some of their sport watches. Oh, there's another shot of it. Yeah, that definitely has the micro adjustments and has the gold on it. Yeah, that's cool. Yep. That would be less bulky if the bulkiness is an issue for you. But again, I mean, this one's working for me, folks. 18 months on wrist. It's working for me. So there you go. Let's see here. Oh, what I love about Japanese engineers is they take all of these conservative rule books, tear them up, throw them in their European counterparts. Uh, don't you think a watch needs to be serviced, taken apart, cleaned, re-oiled, and put back together again? No, I don't. No, 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 no. Don't do that. Unless the watch starts running poorly or something like that, then go and have it, I would say, serviced, repaired, whatever term you want to use. Wait until it manifests problems and then do it. If you have a Rolex, a high-end watch, like a Rolex, a Grand Seiko, an Omega, something like that, that's what I would do. And I have a whole video on that subject here on the channel. Just search watch servicing, and there's a whole bunch of reasons why you come out way ahead by keeping your money in your pocket and spending it only when you need to. It could be 20 years before you have to have that watch serviced. And if you, let's say you had it serviced every 5 years, that's a lot of money to be putting out when you could have been investing that money and saving that money, and then spend it when you need to. My Rolex that I just sold not too long ago was 19 years old, had never been serviced, was still running great. And there's a lot of comments on the Rolex servicing video that I did of people that have the same experience, where they've had their Rolexes for decades and never had to have them serviced, and they run fine. So no, don't feed into all these watchmakers and all telling you should have it serviced, every 5 years or something. They want the money. They want your money. They want your money in their pocket as opposed to your pocket. That's how that works. Okay, GS231, thickness is not a major deal. My Planet Ocean is 14.5 and works for me. And also, a lot of it depends on the lug design. See how that drapes nicely around the design and all also plays into it. So you really have to try the watch. And again, because this is titanium, that helps a lot because, that weight is kind of high, right? But if it's less weight, then it's less weight, period. And so it's not as big a problem. So it all, plays into it. You really have to experience the watch to know what the deal is. I'm not tolerant either, especially to lactose. There you go. Correct. This is a dictatorship. There you go. He emailed a pic of my Seiko Orange Monster currently on my wrist. Okay, let's take a look at the email. Let's take a look at the email. I had something similar to this, not the same, but I had a Seiko with an orange dial, and I sold it to my buddy Dave Serio, and he still has it. He loves it. There's a review on the channel here. It was a Kinetic. It was a Seiko Kinetic. It was a Pro-Spec watch, Japan-only watch. Yeah, some of these watches are cool. I mean, that's a little bit too bulky looking for my cup of tea, but it's looks like it would be very legible, which is a big plus. Let's see here. The Rolex market will continue to rise. It's just going through a late summer lull, as it does every year at this time. Expect for the Daytona, which continues to rise month after month. Okay, we'll see, Steve. A lot of investors are counting on that, but I wouldn't count on it. I would not count on that. Let's see. What accuracy does your Planet Ocean keep? Okay. Cool. Yeah, it's titanium. Cool. Will you keep having? You will keep having your $5,000. I don't understand what that means. What do you dislike about the GS Diver? Could the clasp be improved? If they change the clasp, I still want all this functionality. obviously anything can be improved, right? You can always improve things. Maybe they could make the whole mechanism trimmer, right? And these people that say it has to be forged, or what's the term? Not forged. Anyway, it shouldn't be stamped. It should be, ground out of solid metal. I forget the term now, but anyway, I'm not, the fact that some pieces are stamped is not the end of the world for me, as long as it all holds up and functions properly. So, the old Rolex clasps were always stamped, right? And I wore them for years and never had any real problems with them. We had other problems, but those generally held up okay. So, yeah, obviously they can always improve, but I don't want to lose any of the functionality of this if they do improve it. Now, on that watch there, I'm going to talk to the Grand Seiko people when I see them next week, and I'm going to say, listen, guys, you should have micro adjustments on every single freaking bracelet. And the bracelet on that watch right there does not have micro adjustments, and on the Snowflake does not have micro adjustments. A lot of their dressier watches, or not full-blown sport watches, most of the full-blown sport watches do have micro adjustments, like the one we just looked at. But a lot of their watches, like even that one, does not. And I think that's a fail. I would rather them have micro adjustments on everything. So that's that. SBGA211 or SBGY003. Well, if the 003 doesn't have the modern dial with the GS on the top, then I would pass on that. GS high beat mechanical versus GS spring drive. Again, I would always go for the spring drive. I think it's fantastic. I would either go for the spring drive or the 9F. Those are the two Grand Seiko movements I would pick, because I think those are the two best movements that they make. The 9F is the best quartz movement out there by far. And then, of course, the spring drive speaks for itself. It's just amazing. Milled clasp, exactly. Yeah, milled. See, the problem with everything is trade-offs, right? The Rolex with the glide lock, it's very long. If you ever noticed, it's very long on the underside of the wrist. And in some cases, that looks kind of funky. So maybe they gave that too much travel. Maybe they went too far. Maybe they should have limited the adjustment to maybe 4 millimeters or something, and made it a little shorter. I think it would look better. So everything, there are trade-offs on all of this stuff, folks. I have not met the perfect watch yet. I just haven't seen it yet. Again, the Rolex, the problem you have, it's nice and trim. Like if you get a Pepsi, GMT Pepsi, it's nice and trim on the wrist. It could be a great all-around watch, but again, you're not going to have the accuracy of the spring drive. So if accuracy is important to you, you're not going to get that. So you're always giving up something when you go for a particular watch. The perfect watch does not exist yet. I'm hoping somebody will make it someday, but you tell me what it is, and then we'll go for it. But as far as I know, it doesn't exist. Let's see. Any worries with magnetism? I don't think so. I've never had a problem with a watch getting magnetized, and I'm around a lot of electronic stuff. I think that's an overstated issue, to tell you the truth. But if somebody does have a problem with magnetism that I'm not aware of, that they're in a situation where they're really exposed to a lot of that kind of thing, then I guess you better get something like an Omega or something that's really anti-magnetic. But I think the spring drive is extremely robust, and just about everybody I've talked to that has had experience with them, Eric aside, has had great results with the spring drive. You're wrong. SBGY003 is the latest and has GS logo on the. Okay, good. Okay, because I know a lot of the watches that had the 3 digits started with 0 as opposed to a 2. Like on this diver, if you got instead of a 231, if you got an 031, it would be the previous version. So. Okay, SBGY003. I don't know why they did that. That's not consistent. The Grand Seiko, leave it to Grand Seiko to always want to confuse people. Do you like the design of the GS driver? Would you prefer the design of the Rolex sub, no super case? Oh, I love the sub without the super case. But I went to the GMTs back in the day just because they were a little thinner on wrist, and I don't need the extra dive distance of the sub, right? 100 meters was fine, right? So I always went for the GMT, and it was nice when the GMT2 came out. My first GMT was a GMT, and then I got the GMT2. It was nice to have that quick change on the hour hand. So personally, I would always go with the GMT as opposed to the sub, just to have that a little bit trimmer on the wrist and have a Jubilee. Also have a Jubilee. I would want the Jubilee bracelet. 5-digit Rolex is as close as it gets. Glide lock with the Jubilee is a fail. Did they make the glide lock with Jubilee? I don't think they did they? They have micro adjustments like on the Pepsi. You can adjust it, but it doesn't have the glide lock, I don't think. But I could be wrong. Let's see. Let's see. Somebody wasn't playing nice, it looks like. Carlos had to hide some messages. Craig, please check it and offer your opinion. All right, let's look at the SBGY003. Let's pull it up here, folks. Pull it up here. SBGY003. Oh, yeah, this thing's fantastic. We've talked about this on the channel. That's a gorgeous watch. Again, if you like a strap. See, I'm not a strap guy, so that would be my only thing about that. But if you like a strap, these things are fantastic. Take a look at the dimensions. It's only 10.2 mils thick. I mean, that is just fantastic. And I believe this is a manual wind. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's a manual wind spring drive. I believe that's how they got it so thin, which I'm trying to figure out here where it says that. But fill me in the chat. I believe that's the case with that watch. That is a stunner. I mean, that is a stunning dress watch. Full stop. Stunner. Okay. All right. So let me look at the SBGA211. A211. 211. Well, I mean, that's the snowflake. Yeah, that's the snowflake. So two different animals, two entirely different animals. The one is really a straight up dress watch, and the snowflake is really an all-arounder, with the bracelet and everything. It's going to be thicker. It's going to be about 12.5 mils thick. So for some cuffs, like when I had mine, I could get it under most dress cuffs, but not all. I mean, it was a little snug on some, so that's why I sold mine. At 41 mils and 12.5 mils thick, it's a little bit too much to go under a dress cuff. This one here on screen now is 39 mils and 12 mils thick. It fits under my dress cuffs very nicely. So to me, that's the max size that I can go and still call it a watch that I can use for dress purposes. So that's my take on those two. New limited edition SBGK005. G is incredible. What do you think? Let's pull that one up. Let's pull that puppy up. Da, 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 da. We will pull that puppy up. Okay, so this one I don't like as much as the previous dress watch we looked at moments ago, just because of the power reserve on the front and the second hands there. I like the cleaner dial of the other one. Don't get me wrong. This watch is a stunning watch, and I'm nitpicking, okay? And in real life, the fact that it has the power reserve on the front and all, you really don't notice that. You tune that out, like on my diver's watch. I don't notice the power reserve on the front. You just tune it out after time. But it's nice to know how charged you are. Now, this one is 39 mils by 11.6 mils thick. So that falls into a size that would work. I believe, is this one auto wind? Or is this one manual wind as well? This one might be manual wind as well. Why don't they say that? They should say it right off the top here. Movement. Let's see what we say here under movement. Yeah, mechanical manual winding. See, that's how they're keeping them thinner. 72-hour power reserve. So, see, that's where that power reserve on the front does come in handy is, you know, you're always going to know how much power you have, and it's manual wind. Now, of course, both of those watches, I'm pretty sure, do not have a screw-down crown, so that it'll be real easy to wind them, which is a plus. If you have a manual wind watch, you don't want a screw-down crown. That's a pain in the neck. So, yeah, I mean, they're both nice. I would go with the previous one that we looked at. It's thinner than this one. And I just like the less cluttered dial. I'm guessing it has a power reserve on the back because it didn't have it on the front. Fill me in on that in the chat if you guys know. We'll learn a lot about this at the Little Treasure event next week. The SBGA231 is a really nice watch. The manual wind GS dress watches have great dials. Diva's shown us some lovely examples. Exactly, yeah. We're going to see them in person pretty soon. Craig, can I shoot you a couple of pics comparing the Snowflake and the HS41 fit on my wrist? Sure, absolutely. Just email them on over. Email them on over. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing. We're doing that. Refreshing my mail here just to see if there's anything new in the house. So, time check. We're about 31 minutes into the show. Into the live show from the official start time of 5 p.m. USA Eastern Time. The power reserve indicator is much nicer on the reverse. Well, again, I like it on the back myself. That'd be good for me, but some people would like to be able to just look at it and make sure, you know, on the front that they're not running out of juice. So teach their own. I mean, anytime you have to take the watch off wrist to do something, that's a chance to drop it and different things happening. But I guess if you checked it before you went to bed every night, you know, if you got in the habit of just looking at it and then just, you know, powering it on up, 72-hour power reserve. So I think that's going to be cool. I like that. I like them going to manual wind in order to make it thinner. On a dress watch, you really have to make that watch thinner. And the fact that they had to go to manual wind to do that, that's okay with me on a dress watch like that. So, especially when it doesn't have the date, that's good, because if it stops, you know, it's no big deal setting it and all that. So, yeah, I think that's a good way to go on a dress watch. If I bought a Calatrava, for example, I'd always get manual wind on something like that. Let's see here. We don't have that email. That email has not come through. Let's see. And by the way, the lovely Brianna is stuck at 112 subscribers on her YouTube channel. We're going to be putting out some new content pretty soon. I'm just refreshing that. And she did put a new video up the other day. Let's go to videos here. The Brazilian hip movements video. So that's there. She can dance. Let me tell you something. She doesn't just say she can dance. That young lady can dance. Let's see here. What do you think of IWC Big Pilot? All right, we'll check the inbox in a second. IWC Big Pilot. Let's see. Oh, is that a perpetual calendar? They have a Top Gun. They have a whole bunch of them here. I'm going to click on Top Gun. Is that the one you're talking about? The Top Gun? Are these the watches you're talking about? I kind of like the one on the right, the one all the way on the right. If I wanted like a kind of a toolish watch, I don't like the cluttered dials on some of those with the chronograph and all that stuff. They just can't read those watches. The one on the right there would be okay for a straight up tool watch. That would be my take on those. All right, let's check the inbox. And I am going to terminate this broadcast fairly soon just because I'm hungry. Okay, so here we go. Here we go, folks. Okay, so the Datejust 41 is looking pretty stunning there. A little bit big, I have to say. I think a 36 would look better in that scenario right there with that wrist size and so on. You know, I'm just saying. Let's go here a little more. Yeah, I mean, it looks nice. It looks nice. But it wouldn't break my heart if you went to a 36. And then there's the snowflake. Yeah, the snowflake, that was my thing about it. It was a little bit big to use in a dress situation with a shirt cuff. And I do not like having the watch outside of the shirt cuff and pushing the shirt cuff up and over the bone on the wrist and all that stuff. I mean, I think a dress watch should be under the cuff, and then when you kind of shoot your hand out, be able to easily have it come out from underneath the cuff. I don't like seeing these big watches that are outside of the cuff, like that picture right there, where the shirt is actually underneath the case, and you see that a lot. And I just think it looks awkward. I don't like that look. Of course, I don't like the look of the 5-day-old beard, and there's a lot of things these days that people do that I don't subscribe to. Do you guys watch the rally, the Trump rally? He's hilarious. Love him or hate him, he's an entertainer. I'll tell you what. He's the freaking riot. He said some things that you would never hear a president say, president of the United States say. But then his son, Eric or whatever, I guess it was Eric, he comes out, he's got all the beard and all this stuff, I mean, he looks like a slob compared to his dad. And even his suit and everything, that doesn't hold a candle to the suit that the Donald had on. You could tell, like, when the Donald would move and, like, he'd point and stuff like that, you could tell, like, the suit is just, like, perfectly cut and has plenty of fabric and it's designed to be comfortable and look good. And then you see these people come out with the suits nowadays that look like they're for a little boy. They're real short and they're like real snug, real like trim fit and stuff. So like they can barely move, right? I think they look like goofballs wearing that stuff. But is that just me? Am I just like totally off base on that? What do you guys think about that? What do you think about those controversial statements? 46 mils. Yeah, 46 mils is big. Big. No, unfortunately, I'm busy doing something else. I really wanted to go though. It should be good. Okay. I tried on a Datejust 36 as well. I'll send you another email of it and my own 38 mil Seiko. Okay. Absolutely. As a positively lutely. Send them on over. We'll take a look. This is an interactive show, folks. That's the name of that tune. Interactive show here. By the way, I was an appraiser for many years. I appraised a lot of antique and classic cars, different things. I was always into the quality stuff. You know that. And I got to give another shout out to the Timeless Razors. Timeless Razors, folks. Made in the USA. This thing is just, I use it almost every day. I've got one of the bronze ones in the shower that I use when I shave in the shower. and then this one's at the sink when I shave at the sink. Depending on when I shave, I use one or the other. Use this one probably 2/3 of the time, the other one 1/3 of the time. They both work fantastically well. If I had my choice, I would buy this one over the bronze one. I like them both, but I would definitely take this stainless steel one with the longer handle. The bronze one has a little shorter handle, but they're both, I just have to give a shout out to the Timeless Razors folks. And no, they're not sponsoring this. They're not paying for me to say that. I just like them. And of course the Kent combs, we've talked about these before. Kent combs, gotta love them. Gotta love them. And the Apple titanium credit card, super strong titanium. It is free if you have an iPhone. It's free to get one of these. If your credit's okay, you just apply. You don't have to use it, folks. There's no charge. You get a titanium card. How super cool is that? I have not used it. I don't think I will use it, but I've got it. Okay, so let's go in here and take a look at these photos. Let's take a look at these photos. All right. That looks nice on wrist. That looks nice on wrist. I like those lugs. Looks nice on wrist. Again, typical Seiko with the pointy hands. If you have older eyes, they're not quite as readable as having a hand that's a little bit bulkier, right? But they are gorgeous. I mean, they are gorgeous. You know, and that's a nice watch. That's a nice dress watch. I wonder how thick that watch is. Now, there's a Datejust 36, I guess he's saying. It's hard to tell from that photo, but it looks good. You can't beat, the Datejust is only about 11.7 mils thick, as far as I know. I would, of course, get it on the Jubilee, but that is a good-looking watch. And I'll tell you, the smooth bezel also shows scratches more than a fluted bezel. Like if you get the Jubilee with the white gold, that is the best bet because it's not going to show any scratches. It's going to look gorgeous. It's going to be super comfortable on wrist. So that's what I would get. But yeah, that looks good. This, from size standpoint, that looks pretty good. But again, I'd really have to see it in person. It's hard to tell from photos, any of this kind of stuff. But yeah, that's a winner chicken dinner, as the Archie buddy would say. And speaking of how great an entertainer the Trumpster is, Archie's the same way. I mean, he's just a natural entertainer, right? That's what he is. And they're very similar, the two of them. and the Donald used some foul language last night too, so that would go right along with the luxury man, the Archie luxury man. I have used the Apple card a few times. The app is set up very well, and if you pay your phone, you get 2% cash back. It's a pretty cool system. What do you mean if you pay your phone? I don't understand what you mean. If you pay your phone bill, like your AT&T bill? Give us some more detail on this. And also, how do you pay your bill? If I charge something on the card, okay, and then I have a balance on my showing in my wallet on the phone, how do I then pay that? Do I have to connect it to my bank account or something, or how do I then pay the bill? I'm curious to know that. So let me know in the chat. Craig, would you buy another watch with an Apple card, granted you have the money in your account to clear the balance immediately? I typically would buy with cash because I think I can get a better buy. Because, you know, the merchants pay. When you charge something, the merchants take a hit of a couple of percent, right? So, and sometimes they just want cash. And so sometimes you can get a good buy. When I bought this, I gave Steve $100 bills. And I'm happy with the price I got. Yeah, that's what I would do. I would pay cash. That's what I did do. Yeah. But if it didn't matter, if the price didn't matter, and I could just use a credit card and buy it and then pay it off, what I do with my credit cards is I periodically check online. I go in and I check the balance, and then I just send a little more. Like, let's say I owe $700 on a card. I just bought a few things or whatever. I'll send like $800, and then for a little while, I'll have a credit balance, and then I'll use the thing again, and then I'll repeat the process. But I almost never have a balance on there for more than a week or so. I'm always just sending the money ahead of time to make sure that I absolutely never carry a balance and get hit with any interest. So almost all my credit cards right now are sitting there with a credit balance on them. Okay. Not sure what else. Okay. How durable is the Datejust fluted bezel for everyday use? Oh, it's great. All they do over time, over a long period of time, and you can go look at any of them that are older, that are for sale, they just get a little bit rounded, like they get softer, the fluting. It just kind of smooths over time, and it looks fine. I mean, it's just wear. It just slowly wears down, so it's not as sharp, the fluting, right? But it doesn't like show scratches or anything like that. It just looks kind of cool. And the same thing with all gold Rolex watches. They look better with age than a stainless steel watch. If you take, let's say you bought if they sold it, but I don't think they sell them anymore, but let's say you bought a Datejust in solid gold with a Jubilee bracelet, all 18 karat yellow gold, right, with a fluted bezel and all that, with a Jubilee bracelet. And then let's say you bought a steel one, same thing, but steel, and 10 years later, the steel one would just look like a steel watch with a bunch of scratches on it. The gold one would look like eat up with class. Now this is assuming, the bracelet doesn't get stretched and things like that. That aside, right, if you take proper care of it, my watch held up fine. 19 years, it was still in great shape. No bracelet stretch. I'm on my date 8. So that's something about taking care of them and fitting them right. But all that aside, they age better. They just look better with patina on them, the gold watch versus the steel watches, in my opinion. And I've seen many examples of that. Craig, you're right. Those short suits look like Jerry Lewis movie. Ray in the house. I had a credit card cloned yesterday. Fraud control caught it after a charge of less than $1. Wow. Datejust 36 looks perfect watch for your wrist. Yes, it did look good. I meant pay with your phone, Apple Pay, versus 1% cash back using the physical card. So if you pay with your phone, you get more back. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, exactly, that makes sense. You do connect your bank account to pay the bill. Okay, there you go. I don't think I've done that yet, so I probably should do that at some point, but I don't know if I'm going to use the thing or not. Not a fan of the new Datejust 2019. Great movement, but case styles don't look as nice as the previous models with the 3135 movement. Interesting. When I get my first Rolex, I want it to be either a Datejust 36 fluted bezel or Oyster Petrol 36, which has brushed center links. Which one do you think would be better one watch? The Datejust 36 with the fluted bezel with a Jubilee, I would go for. I just think it's a better looking, cooler watch, but you're going to pay more money for it. The Oyster Perpetual 36 is a fantastic all-arounder. So you can't go wrong with either one of those. I think the Oyster Perpetual 36 might be a hair thinner because there's no date wheel. It might be a hair thinner, so that could be a plus. And with the Oyster bracelet, I think that has 4 micro adjustments, correct? In that bracelet, I believe it does. I think you would be good to go. To paraphrase Ross Perot, you can now hear that giant sucking sound through your iPhone. There you go. All right, let me make sure there's nothing else in the inbox. No, I think we're looking good. And let's see if Bitcoin crashed a little bit earlier. Let's see if it's stabilized at about 8,300. And we could be getting ready for another big leg down, or we could be ready for a major uptick. Either way, it's going to go somewhere. It's not going to stay around this $8,000 range forever here, folks. Something's going to happen. Something's going to give, but we don't know. Nobody knows. That's what makes Bitcoin exciting. Nobody knows which way it's going to go. Datejust and Oyster Perpetual with the Oyster Clasp have 3 micro adjustment anchor points. Yeah, that's probably enough. That's probably enough to get the job done if you're lucky. Depending on where when you take the links out, where it falls. With mine, with the 4 adjustments, I only adjust it 1 adjustment twice a year. So in the fall, now this time of the year, I bring it in one tighter. In the spring, I let it out 1. And I think that's only about a is it 2 mils or 1.5 mils? I'm not sure what it is between these adjustments here. In other words, I only am using 1 adjustment on a regular basis. So if you have 3 and everything falls into place right, you're probably going to be okay if all is said and done. Tell me when you are. I am not in a hurry. Okay. Thanks for the advice, Thomas. Oyster Special is cheaper too, so more money to invest. There you go. Absolutely. Abso-positively-lutely. And now Carlos says we shouldn't have Bitcoin. I'm a Bitcoin holder, long-term holder. I'm going to hold until 2028. And I would not want to be a no-coiner personally, but Carlos is a no-coiner, and he's proud of that. So I don't know if any of the rest of you all have any Bitcoin or not, but I'm going to hold mine until 2028. My 2002 Jubilee looks as good as the day it was purchased. There you go. Yeah, the Jubilee holds up very well. Because of the way it's rounded, because of the way it's shaped and all, it's just like the President bracelet. The President bracelet doesn't show scratches. I mean, it looks great after many years of use. It's just the way it's made. The Oyster, because of the flatness of the links, they get those scratches, and it shows up a lot more than either of those bracelets. Craig, don't you find it a bit uneconomical for someone to get multiple Rolexes to rotate so they can save on wear and tear with daily? Yeah, I think that would be pretty ridiculous. Absolutely. If you're going to have multiple Rolexes, it would be smart probably just to wear one of them and put the wear on that one and keep the others in the box in mint condition so that when you do sell them, you can get as much as possible. I don't advocate doing that because watches are not good investments, generally speaking. But if you're going to do that, you might as well keep, let's say you have 3, you might as well keep 2 of them mint condition and wear the one and beat the hell out of it. And then at least when you sell those 2, you'll get as much money as possible out of them. But what I would do is I would pick the one I really like, I would wear it, and then I would sell the other 2 immediately and invest the money in a proper investment. That's what I would do, but I'm a little bit crazy. That's crazy talk in the watch community. Crazy talk. I told one guy he has about a dozen steel stunners. I put the comment in there. I said I would sell about 4 or 5 of those and get myself something in solid 18 karat yellow gold, preferably a date 8. And then I would wear it. And it was like, they were like, what are you saying? Are you kidding me? Buy a date 8 and actually wear it? Yeah, that's what I did for 40 years. I did that for 40 freaking years. I have around 0.8. Oh, Carlos has 0.8 Bitcoin, so he's almost got 1 full Bitcoin. Oh, now we hear. Okay. That's pretty good, Carlos. You're not a no-coiner. I'd like to see you get that up to 1.0 though, 1 full Bitcoin. That'd be nice. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to wrap this puppy up. Let me know if there's anything else you want to talk about, anything at all, and we will talk about it, but I'm almost out of here. Let's check the time again on that Grand Seiko 9F Stunner, and it is the 11th. It is October 11th, biggest day. And I'm going to start wearing that watch here pretty soon because it's getting cool. Today was another warm day, but pretty soon it's going to get cool. I'm going to be wearing the long sleeve shirts, and I'm going to be wearing probably like cashmere sport coats to stay warm because I don't run the heat in this place. It gets cool. Sometimes I can get up in the morning, you can actually see my breath, you know. I got to make sure that the pipes, the plumbing is wrapped so the plumbing doesn't burst in this place. That's how thrifty we are. We don't spend the money, folks. We don't spend the money. And that way we can have the money for expensive watches. That's right. An average Rolex owner might get paid a couple of grand to wear the watch, but Roger Federer's getting paid way more to do the same. Invest smartly, folks. An average Rolex owner might get paid a couple of grand to wear the watch. No, I don't think the average Rolex owner, I don't think he gets paid anything. I know I never got paid to wear mine. That would have been nice. So, yeah. I mean, wisely, not smartly. Okay. Yeah. Just got here. I'll have to do the rewatch. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Sorry that you just came in. Craig, can you make a talk about digitalization and AI in our future? Well, we can talk about that on another show. To bring it up earlier in a show, because I'm getting ready to get out of here now, but bring it up later in the show. I think a lot of things that are in the pipeline, a lot of them are probably pipe dreams, but there's some interesting stuff coming around the corner. And it's yeah, if you can pick the winners, you can make some money in that space if you can, if you can pick the winners. What I mean is they believe they can make money to wear the watch as it appreciates. Oh yeah, they can forget that. Yeah, most of these guys can forget making any money at all on a watch appreciating because they generally don't do that. They generally depreciate. Don't believe what you see in the forums of all these people selling these watches at these super high prices, because it's not so easy to do, folks. And on that note, we're going to wrap this puppy up. Thanks everybody for watching. Let me see if I can pull up the app here so that I can terminate this puppy. Let's see here. The Prospex watches. Yeah, we're going to take a look at some of those when we're at Steve's show. Trying to connect to this device so that I can terminate. There I go. I'm connected. So thanks again, everybody. Click subscribe and click the bell so that you don't miss anything, so that you don't miss a moment from this channel, including the live broadcast that Steve says he's going to do from the event. We'll see. We'll see how all that works out. Thanks again for watching, everybody.